The approach that was given to us is the natural approach. Background: Natural Approach was developed and published as a book by Stephen Krashen and Tracy Terrell in 1983. This approach is based on Krashen's theories about second language acquisition. Aside from that, this approach believes that language is acquired unconsciously by the children through fluent communicative interactions with the parents, childhood, and later with the teacher. Objectives: This approach focuses on helping the beginners to become intermediate in communicative skills. Objectives depend on learner needs and the skills and the level being taught. Another objective of natural approaches is the emphasis on exposure or input rather than practices. Types of learning and teaching activities. This approach minimizes learners' anxiety and maximizes learners' self-confidence. It is because learners are not forced to speak until they feel ready, but they are expected to respond to a teacher commands and questions in other ways. Aside from that, it emphasizes on presenting comprehensible input in the target language.
Next is the learner rules. They should not try to learn the unusual sense but try to lose between themselves in the activities involving meaningful communication in the language. It seems the processor of comprehensible input. And also learner rules seem to change according to their stage of linguistic development. The pre-production stage in which students participate language in the activity without having to respond in the target language. Example, they can act out physical commands, point to pictures, and so forth. Next would be the early production stage in which students respond to the either or questions using single words and short phrases. Example, how are you? What is your name? Speech emergent phase, students involve themselves in the rule or play games, contribute personal information and opinions, and participate in the group problem solving.
Let's talk about the teacher roles. The teacher is the source of knowledge to their students. The teacher must provide all sources and proof the language input. It is supported by Brown that the teacher is a primary source of comprehensible input. A teacher must acknowledge students' work and participation in having chemistry inside the classroom, where the students' interest to learn is boosted. And a teacher must create materials for helping students to learn. A material can catch the interest of the students, specifically presenting different types of visual aids. And now let's move on to the role of instructional materials. Classroom activities is more effective, where the students easily comprehend, also presenting visual aid to students and other visual presentation, which might help the students to learn more about the specific areas of language.
And now the procedure. Teacher strategies recommended materials included schedules, brochures, advertisement, maps, visual aids, and graded books. Just like example, the games in general are seems as useful as classroom materials, since games as by their virtue or nature focus on the student on what they are doing and use the language as a tool for reaching a goal rather than itself. As the conclusion, the natural approach belongs to a tradition of language teaching methods based on observation and interpretation of how learners acquire both first and second languages in non-formal setting. Such method reject the formal or grammatical organization of languages as prerequisite to teaching. A focus on comprehension and meaningful communication as well as the provision of the right kinds of comprehensible input provide the necessary and sufficient condition for classroom second and foreign language acquisitions. The natural approach is hence evolutionary rather than revolutionary in its procedure. Its greatest claims to be originality lies in use as a method that emphasizes comprehensible and meaningful practices, rather than the production of grammatically perfect utterances and sentences.